So, what does money, abundance, you, and a garden hose have in common? Actually, it's quite a bit, my friend. So, first and foremost, let's look at the hose. What's the purpose of a hose? Yeah, water's meant to flow through it, right? It's meant to be a conduit. It's meant to be a conduit of the life-giving resource called water. I use a hose to be a conduit of water to water my plants in my garden in the summer. Yes? Well, there's where the similarities between you and a hose begin, because you too, just like me, we're all created to be conduits, conduits of abundance, conduits of life-giving resources like money, but also love, joy, peace, compassion, kindness, all of this. It's who we were created to be conduits. In my faith tradition, I say we're created to be conduits of divine spirit and divine love in our world. Okay? So that's the first thing. Now, when we talk about a hose being a conduit, if I could hold up a hose here right now, you'd go, oh, that's a garden hose. And you'd say it's a garden hose. You'd recognize it's a garden hose, even if there's no sink, no water, anything in my office right now. And that's the next thing to know. Water isn't what makes a hose a hose. Water is what allows the hose to be what it was created to be, that conduit. In the same way, and flying in the face of what so much of our society teaches us, money is not what makes you abundant. Money is just a resource that allows you to be the conduit of abundance that you were created to be. Okay? So, as a conduit of water for the hose, of money and other life-giving resources for you, what needs to happen? Well, the very first thing for a hose to be the conduit it's meant to be is it needs to be attached to the spigot. It needs to be attached to the source. Alrighty? The hose cannot be the source of the water that is meant to flow through it. It has to be connected to a source. In the same way, when it comes to money, abundance, and other life-giving resources, one of the fastest ways we can experience scarcity, block ourselves from being the conduit we're created to be, is when we forget that. When we forget that we're not the source. We're not the one who earns it, who deserves it, who attracts it, who manifests it. Actually, we receive it from a source bigger than us, which I call God, and you may call something else. One of the fastest ways to experience unnecessary scarcity and not be the conduit you were created to be is to not remember that, to not be connected, or have the connection be really shaky and loose. But let's say the hose is connected now, and now your water's flowing in. But when I take my hose out to my garden and I try to water my plants, no water's flowing out. Oops, it's not being the conduit it was created to be. And when it's not being the conduit it was created to be, then I know we have to look at some specific places to see what's stopping the flow. And the same places where the flow of water gets blocked or stopped or limited for a hose are the same ones where the flow of money and other life-giving resources can get blocked in your life. Now, you might immediately say, well, you got to go turn up the spigot more. You got to get more water flowing into the hose. And that may be the case. That's where we oftentimes go in our world. If not enough money is flowing through or flowing out, we think it's because we're not making enough money. We're not bringing in enough money. And so we direct all of our attention to making more money. But let me ask you a question, my friend. If I turn up the spigot to get more water flowing through the hose, but that hose has giant kinks in it, what good is having more water flow into the hose going to do? Not much. If that hose is riddled with holes its entire length, what good is increasing the inflow of water going to do? Not much. It's not going to be the conduit it was created to be. And one of the ways we block ourselves from experiencing abundance, from being fulfilled in our lives and in our relationship with money, is we have kinks and leaks that block the flow, that prevent us from fully being the conduit. And if we don't address those kinks and leaks, ways we spend money, ways we utilize money, ways we hold on to money out of scarcity, all of that, if we don't address those kinks and leaks, it won't matter how much more money we bring in, we're still going to be left with it's not enough. We're still never going to feel fully filled in our lives. I know this one firsthand. So you've got to address the kinks and leaks. And yes, you may need to increase the inflow. I'm not saying that's not a possibility. But first, take a look and see if you got some kinks and leaks. And those kinks and leaks can be in behaviors, but those kinks and leaks can also be in beliefs we have about ourselves that then affect our behaviors, the way we use money. Alrighty. But even if we turn up the inflow and get rid of our kinks and leaks, that hose still isn't going to be the conduit it was meant to be if the nozzle at the other end is closed. In fact, if I turn up the spigot and the inflow of water and I get rid of kinks and leaks, but the nozzle at the end of my hose is closed, it's going to create a bunch of back pressure and stress on the hose. For my hose and for you and me to fully be the conduits we were created to be, yes, we need to address kinks and leaks. Yes, we have to make sure we're open to receive all that source wants to give. But we also need to be willing to open on the other end and share some of what we've received in ways that supports life and growth in the world around us. And this is especially important to remember in the world we're living in, because oftentimes our scarcity, our fear of scarcity, our fear of not having enough has us go, nope, 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 nope. But that creates a bunch of pressure. We're so afraid that if we give, we won't have enough. But when we're being a conduit connected to source, receiving what's available, using it wisely, no kinks and leaks, letting it flow from us out into the world doesn't leave us with less. For the hose to be the hose, the conduit it was meant to be, it's always needs to be filled with water. It's always fully filled. This is a very different model for our relationship with money and our understanding of abundance, my friend. It doesn't come from us like grabbing and holding on to. It doesn't just come from bringing more in. It's a combination of connection with source. We're not the source. Receiving what's available, using it wisely in ways that supports life and health, and at the same time being able to recognize what I call our sufficiency point, not too much, not too little, just right. And we also share what we've been given, what we've received in the world around us. Because you know what happens in creation? When that water comes out from my hose down into the ground, it eventually comes back into the rivers, into the sky coming down as rain, and returns to source and then flows through again. This is the cycle. Now, why am I sharing this with you? Because, especially in the world we're living in, we need to embrace this new model. There is a lot of scarcity going on in the world right now where people are either, I gotta get more, I gotta get more, I gotta get more, block, 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 or I gotta hold on, instead of participating in the flow of resources. We're being called to become more fully the conduits we were created to be, not so that it leaves us with less, but so all of us have more. Make sense? So all of us have the resources we need to grow and prosper, blossom, and thrive. The other reason I'm sharing it with you is because my genius is being able to look at your life, your relationship with money, those beliefs, those behaviors, etc., where your blocks are showing up, where your inability to fully be that conduit you were created to be, where your inability to be fulfilled and serve your life purpose is blocked. Weak connection with source, no connection with source. Limiting how much you'll let yourself receive. Kinks and leaks, blocks, holding on out of fear of scarcity. I don't know what it is for you, but I know that unless you can see what's going on, especially at a subconscious level, and begin to address it, one, you will never experience the abundance that's available to you in life, within yourself, or in your bank account. You will never really experience fulfillment, no matter how much money you make. And you will never be able to play your part of being a conduit of abundance in the world so that not only you thrive, but others do as well. So if this is resonating with you, if you feel that I want to be the conduit because that's what's going to leave me fulfilled and I want to make a difference in the world around me, then let's talk. Let's see where the block is for you. Let's see what steps you can take to open more so you can be the conduit you were created to be. I've put a link down below in the show notes to schedule a free, what I call breakthrough for abundance discovery session. And that breakthrough is, it's like a breakthrough is where an opening gets created where before there was a block. Whether it's in your relationship with money, whether it's in your relationship with time, whether it's in relationship with other things, it's time for us to step into this model and to be the conduits of abundance we were created to be. I invite you to join me. More than that, I invite you to schedule a discovery session so we can get to know each other and I can support you. Schedule it now.